Okay, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Down the Line. We always start this. It feels like lately, more so lately, we have been starting these episodes on a very negative note due to the total incompetence of the New York Yankees. So today we are wearing black for the New York Yankees funeral. It is. I noticed that I wind up wearing black a lot, but today it's intentional. Today is intentional because the Yankees are officially dead. But before we get into whatever the hell is going on with their team, Nick, you got any positive thoughts just before? Because the Seahawks ruined my Sunday. Fantasy was ruined by me. All my bets lost. The Yankees stink. There really weren't many good games on other than the Sunday night game. So Sunday ruined. I'm trying to have some positive thoughts. You got anything for me?
Well, football is back, which is good. I mean, I don't know if the 4 o'clock slate was sick. There was
Yeah.
the
Well, I was
Chargers
watching the Seahawks during that, so I didn't
and the
even get
Seahawks
to.
game, yeah, which was ruined for you, obviously. So as a casual red zone observer, it was a good 4 o'clock slate of games. In terms of the Yankees, we're on the same page that we wore black. Listen, they're a game and a half back, and when I say they're pronounced dead, everyone fucking relax. Like, I'm still gonna watch every single game, stress out over every single game. They're winning right now tonight against the Rangers. I'm going on Wednesday, weather permitting. So I'm still into it, but I've just felt like that was a part of their schedule where they need to do a lot better, and I don't have faith against them in them beating the Rays, Red Sox, and Blue Jays to close the season. I get the one positive thought I'll say is that every time this team makes me think they're dead or they're done or they're too far out, they do pull me back in. So that's the only thing I can hope on. There's really nothing baseball strategy wise that I could be like, here's why they're gonna do well these next 12 games. It's just they've fucking surprised me before, so who knows?
I was gonna say, like, I have tried to not be too overreactionary this entire season because I mean baseball, specifically as opposed to a lot of the other sports, it's such a long season that if you're gonna be overreactionary to a 10-game stretch, whatever it is, it's going to be counterproductive to you trying to support the team and actually enjoying the length of the season, because we all know once it hits November, we're going to be like, oh, I can't wait for baseball season to be back.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be like, oh, I can't wait for opening day. Opening day is going to feel like a holiday again. But right now, you're just kind of like, oh, I want the season to end. It's been a misery, all this
Yes.
stuff. But like the way this Yankees team has been this entire season, I just feel like and I mean, this goes for everybody. I mean, I'm not alone in this. You can't get a read on them. I have no idea. If you told me that they were going to go out and win the every game for the rest of the season, I'd be like, you know what? I could see it. But if you told me that they are going to go out and probably go on like a 2-10 stretch, I could also see it. So like, I have no expectations now. I have tried to maintain neutral, for the entirety of the season. It took me a long time to declare them back. And the second I did that, they started sucking again. It was literally like after that, like that 35-11 stretch, I'm like, you know what? I'm confident. The Yankees are obviously making the playoffs. They're playing too good. I don't see anything changing. Everything changed.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what to expect. I'm just going to be basing it off the fact that most recently we have not seen good baseball, and I don't see much changing. I mean, Luis Severino coming back is the biggest roster change, if you want to call it that. But I mean, guy hasn't pitched in 2 years. I'm not expecting much. I'm just expecting to get some healthy innings out of him and see what we have for him next year. That's like my expectations for him. Outside of that, hands up, Jesus take the wheel type thing with the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I don't know. Listen, this is a Yankee team. Like we said, they played a very overall good brand of baseball for about 6 weeks to 2 months. Including that 13-game winning streak. They go 5-1 against the White Sox. They go 4-2 against the Astros. They've played the Rays a lot better since April. They've won some series from the Red Sox, but at the same time, they'll lose. They go 3-3 down the stretch against the Orioles. They lose a home series to the Cleveland Indians, give up 22 runs in 2 games to a team that's been no hit 3 times this year. So you really just have legitimately no idea what you're getting from this team. And as far as Sevy goes, I blogged this today. I love Sevy. I'm a big fan of him. He's had a really weird career. You look at it, he comes up in 2015. He's awesome. 2016 actually gets sent down, comes back up as a reliever, is awesome again. 2017 into the first half of 2018 is legitimately a top 10 starting pitcher in baseball, 2 all-star nods, has two stinker of playoff starts, one each 2017, 2018, and then a couple other decent playoff starts. And then we really haven't seen the guy the past 3 years, 5 starts since the beginning of 2019. So you really can't bank on him for anything at all. He's had setbacks, which complicates things, makes me a little bit worried. He's only built up for 1 to 3 innings. Best case scenario, we see him and he looks great. Worst case scenario, he looks like shit. And I honestly don't blame him. I'm really just hoping he doesn't get hurt at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I remember them talking about it with this with DeGrom and kind of like how he was gonna potentially come back, even though the Mets were probably not going to be in it, which, as we can tell right now, they're not. They're pretty much done, pretty much over and done with that season.
Right.
But what they wanted to see was, can he make consecutive starts now with his injury history? And, coming back, what do we have from him next year? Is Luis Severino going to step on the mound and get hurt again? Was Jacob deGrom going to step on the mound and get hurt again after one start? So, you got to just see what we have for him. I have no expectations of him throwing high leverage innings. He honestly shouldn't. You just got to just let him get his fastball back, let him get his slider back, let him have a healthy offseason, take him back, and run with him next year. I mean, that's the most I want out of him is health. I don't want him in high leverage innings. He's not our new Loaiziga right now. You know what I mean? Do not do that to him. That's going to be endangering to him.
And what sucks for me is just to know that he's inevitably going to go through the struggles of a guy that's pitched 5 times in 3 years. Obviously it's going to happen, and he's going to get hit by casual fans with see, this guy's not clutch. He's not clutch. It's just it's just going to be the same annoying bullshit. So I'm hoping he comes out and shoves. But yeah, I mean, like you said, regardless, he could be prime 2017, Cy Young candidate Luis Severino. And is this guy putting us over the hump right now? No, he's not.
No. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know who would put us over the hump. I thought it would have been Garrett Cole, but he kind of shit the bed. Also, did you see? I know Yankee fans are very reactionary, and it's tough when they're going through a stretch like this. But booing Garrett Cole does not do much. I know we've had so many conversations about booing, and it's like, oh, what does it really do? It doesn't do anything. Dude, the guy might be the Cy Young, and it's probably going to be the Cy Young, and you're booing him off the mound. I know he had a stinker when we needed it, but come on, I don't know. It's tough because you're yes, he's our ace. You have to perform, but it's also who. There's other people to boo. It's not him.
It sucks, right? It's because I could see it both ways. I think it's utterly stupid to boo Garrett Cole. I don't know where this team would be without him. We're close to 500 and it starts, and that's just an indictment on how terrible our offense and sometimes our bullpen has been this year. But at the same time, I kind of get why you're booing. If the Yankees were playing even 500 baseball right now and Garrett Cole goes out and does that, I don't think he gets booed. I think it's just more of a fan base reaction of Boston and Toronto were winning. It's a series we're going to lose. They got embarrassed the day before. They're home. It's our ace. I think it was just kind of a lot being let out at once. It's still bullshit that it was Cole that got booed, but at the same time, I get where the fans are coming from. Everyone's fed up right now. So it sucks, but at the same time, it's just the position this team has put themselves in.
Speaking of positions that they put themselves in, I know you had a Brian Cashman rant ready to go. What do you need to get off your chest, Nick, in terms of for me, Brian Cashman?
it's explaining. I had a tweet yesterday. I said, if the Yankees miss the playoffs, Brian Cashman should get fired, but he won't. He should get fired, but he won't. And I had a ton of people coming at me saying, oh, just because the players underachieved this year. First of all, I get it. This team should be a lot better than they are. I don't blame Glaber, Gio, and DJ all regressing on Brian Cashman. I get it. He's made good moves. He went out and got Gallo, got Rizzo. Some of the relievers he brought in, Licky, Peralta, Holmes, these guys have been good. He's not a bad general manager. And yes, the priority of blame goes on the players much more so than him. At the same time, he's won 1 championship in 21 years. That's not good enough. Missing the playoffs in this season when you couldn't beat your division and 3 teams in your division are about to get into the playoffs is not good enough. And again, is he the number 1 culprit? No, I put the blame mostly on the players. I put blame on Aaron Boone, and then I put blame on Brian Cashman. Do I think he's a bad GM? No. And this is the other argument I hate. If the Yankees fired Cashman, someone else would hire him tomorrow. Yeah, he has an overall pretty solid track record. He's a very good executive, probably top 5 in the sport. I'm not doubting that. But just because you and your toxic ex-girlfriend, someone might date her tomorrow, does that mean you guys shouldn't break up? No. So I'm over all these bullshit arguments about why they should keep Brian Cashman. And again, they're going to keep him anyway, so it's fine. Like, you're not going to see me fucking going on a hunger strike. Like, this isn't me trying to get James Dolan to sell the Knicks, or like the Jets fans wanting Adam Gase fired. Like, he's going to stay, and I'm cool with that. One thing that does encourage me is that he did go out and get Gallo and Rizzo, so maybe he's changing his ways a little bit. Maybe he's going to get back to lineup balance. If you look back at that 2009 team, they had awesome lineup balance. He's really abandoned that, so I'm hoping that since he is going to stay, he'll go back to some other things that, made Yankee teams win a decade ago. But I'm just over it being this asinine idea that Brian Cashman deserves any blame for this season. Like, this season's a disaster. Everyone involved deserves blame.
The thing, because I was looking through the comments on your tweet, and the thing I saw a lot was that it doesn't matter. Like, yes, this season has been a disappointment for the most part. He's kept us over 500. We've been a winning ball club for what is the record now? Like 29 years. Like, awesome, very impressive. But he's working with a huge budget. Let's not act like the Yankees don't have one of the biggest budgets in sports.
Yes.
So they go to the limit. Yes, they haven't exceeded it, and they have exceeded it once or twice in the past, obviously. But like, for the most part, they've set their limits. But at the end of the day, it's still $210 million. I'm sure I could put it together a decent roster at the end of the day with $210 million. The point is that the Yankees have expectations, and that they need to exceed those expectations. You talk about the Yankees this season, if they were in the NL East, if they were in the AL Central, if they were in different divisions throughout baseball, maybe they'd be in a situation. Guess what? They're not. They're in the AL East. They're in one of the most competitive divisions. Brian Cashman should have known that. No one else saw coming that the Red Sox are going to be this good. But guess what? Brian Cashman should have.
Yep.
He should have seen that the Blue Jays were going to, at some point, be a much better team than we anticipated. Like, those are the things that the fans don't see, that he needs to be able to see, and then build teams around that. And at the end of the day, I feel like he thought he had a good team on paper, but I feel like he did underestimate the competition around us, and that is on him. And obviously, yes, the players underperformed. Aaron Boone underperformed. Aaron Boone should be fired. I mean, I really don't see how anyone could argue against that. But this is, it's like you always say, this is Cashman's baby. This is the team that he built. This was the Jeter Posada core, was not him. That was a GM before him. These are his guys that he has built top to bottom. And now all of a sudden it's failing. So, I mean, if you want to put the blame on the players, if you want to put the blame on Boone, you can, but you can't totally exonerate Cashman just because we've been over 500 for the past 29 years. You have to have higher expectations with the higher payroll and just the legacy. The legacy doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, and I had some people coming at me like, what position does Cashman play? Like, he's not picking up a bat or a glove. Like, shut the fuck up with that. Again, should the team be better that he assembled? Yes. The reality is it's not. So if they miss the playoffs in this season because they couldn't beat their division and 3 divisional teams get in, it ultimately falls on the GM, not more so than the players, not more so than Boone. But yes, the GM does deserve blame. Like, he put the team together. This isn't rocket science here. Of course, the GM is somewhat at fault for a team failing. Like, that's just logic. And you look at what Cashman has done, why we're in kind of this spot. He's not great at acquiring starting pitching. Like, yeah, he can throw the money at the Garrett Cole and CC Sabathia. Other than that, I still think Taijuan was a pretty good acquisition overall, but let's not act like the season's been a huge success. I mean, we were relying heavily on a guy who hadn't pitched much in years, and now he's on the IL again, and he's not good at drafting. Besides Aaron Judge, our first round draft picks over the past decade plus have given us nothing. Hopefully the way Volpe's looking and some of these other guys, Austin Wells, hopefully he's drafting a little bit better now, but he's not good at drafting. He's not good at acquiring starting pitching. 2 kind of important things for a GM to have. So I'm just sick of everyone acting like he's this perfect GM. To even question his job, you're a bad Yankee fan. The guy is not getting it done, and he's staying. So I hope that he does change up his mindset a little bit. But yeah, since the boss passed, this has been his baby. This has been exactly what he wanted to do, and he built a pretty solid core. Not as solid as we thought when you look at how Glaber has regressed and Clint turns out. You get Justice Sheffield for Paxton. That wasn't perfect. It worked out a little bit. So I'm done acting like this guy is the Messiah. He built a decent core, and he's done nothing to get it over the top.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too much into the future and the offseason because we're wearing black. It's the Yankees funeral, but at the end of the day, the season isn't technically over. It just certainly feels that way. But I don't want to get too much into what we're going to do in the off season and the moves that he's going to need to make, the changes that are going to make on behalf of Cashman's ineptitude and, trying to find scapegoats with, probably Boone, probably Marcus Timms, like those sort of people. But I do want to start my Matt Blake for manager campaign right now. Before anyone else starts saying that, I want what he has done with the pitching staff this year, with the injuries that have happened, the emergence of people like Nestor Cortez, Clay Holmes, what he's turned seemingly average to below average to guys with major issues, the emergence of Loizaga too as an elite arm. Just what he's done with this staff. I want him at the forefront. I don't know. Everybody that I hear, I mean, he's one of the big reasons that Kluber came over. Obviously Kluber didn't turn out because of injury history, but I mean, it seems like he's got a great relationship with players. Obviously knows what he's talking about pitching wise. And I don't know, maybe he's knows something about hitting that is, swept under the rug right now. But I'm starting my Matt Blake for manager campaign right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I want him as the manager, but he definitely needs to stay. Like when people are saying clean house with the coaching staff, they need to try and find a way to make Matt Blake stay. Just the way pitching is being developed in this organization right now is something that we haven't seen in a long time. Obviously we were spoiled in the wrong way. I don't know what the word is by Larry Rothschild. So our bar was kind of on the floor for Matt Blake. But I mean, you look at what he's done with a lot of these guys. He absolutely needs to stay. I mean, if only the offense wasn't so utterly pathetic, because this pitching staff has really outperformed what people expected from it this year, myself included. So Matt Blake is, if you want to talk about positives out of this disastrous season, obviously everyone's going to say Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Stanton, Nestor Cortez. It's these pitchers, and a lot of that has to do with Matt Blake. So he absolutely needs to stay on.
Yeah, if you ever told me Tyone was going to be pitcher of the month, I mean, even as high expectations I think as I had for him, because I was just super jacked that we got him, I would have said you're crazy. I'm like, we'd be lucky if he was throwing, a 4 ERA with consistency, which is, what he's roughly been for most of the season. But I mean, he had an elite month, when Cole was down and all these other guys on the staff were down. And, I have to think a lot of that was Matt Blake. So my Matt Blake, I'm going to make a t-shirt, Matt Blake for manager. That's my, that's my number one. Yeah, that'll sell well. That's my number one off-season wish right now. But again, we're not talking about the off-season yet. The Yankees are technically not dead. It's a game and a half behind the Blue Jays in the wild card. I mean, what do you think has to happen for them to actually make the playoffs? Obviously, this point we're going for the second wild card spot. At best. Do they need to win out? I was thinking about that in terms of numbers. Do they need to win out?
I think they need to win every single series. I think they need to, and probably sweep at least one or two of them. I mean, you look at it, this Rangers series, they just cut it to 4-2, so who fucking knows? But the Rangers are 55-94 team. You have them at home. Sweep that series. I'm not don't take 2 out of 3. Fucking sweep it. So who knows? This by the time this is posted, that already might be an impossibility, because you never know with this team. But yeah, they need to win every series. I know the Red Sox have the Nationals, and I think the Mets, and I want to say maybe even the Orioles one more time on their schedule. Their schedule is way easier than us. But we do play we play the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. So who knows? I don't know. And then that Rays series, theoretically, they shouldn't be playing for anything, but I think we might have said this last week, that they absolutely will. They're going to try and knock us out because Kevin Cash is a fucking just asshole. So I don't know.
It's nice that our fate is in our own hands, but I kind of almost wish it wasn't. I kind of wish the Rays were just playing the A's or the White Sox or something like that, where just they could go play good teams and we just got I guess we had our easy part of the schedule and we blew it. So I guess
yes,
we're asking for a little. Asking for a little too much. We had our chance to catch up and then maybe have our fate in our hands a little bit, but dug too big of a hole. Yeah. What the hell is going on in the rest of baseball? It makes me so angry that the Cardinals are going to be in the playoffs. Doesn't that anger you? The fact that they just kind of waited for everyone else to start sucking, and all they did was just play. So in their last 10, they've been 9-1. But before that, they were just the most average team in all of baseball. And you know what? They got the second wild card spot pretty secure. They're up 3 games on the Reds. I mean, obviously no one's catching the Dodgers in that spot, but I mean, they look pretty good that they're going to take that second wild card spot. We didn't even talk about. I mean, we said this last week. They're not even a dark horse. They were an invisible horse all year. Like they were never in the playoff discussion, and now they're like running away with the second wild card spot. Like, why can't the Yankees do that?
They came out of absolutely fucking nowhere. Like, it's insane. Like, I remember we were talking about like how sick the NL wildcard game would probably be, where like it might be the Dodgers or the Padres or the Mets or the Braves. Mets and Padres both fall flat on their face this season. The Braves are going to win the division, but obviously still not as entertaining as we thought they were going to be, or as good as we thought they were going to be. And I don't know. The fucking Cardinals come out of nowhere. Obviously, you have the Giants thrown in there. At this point, I just hope the Dodgers win that game, because we have to watch the Cardinals in the division series instead of, being robbed of watching the Dodgers. Like, that's just going to be fucking annoying.
Yeah, that would be frustrating. Speaking of the Padres, did you see the whole? I want to get your thoughts on this. The whole Machado Tatis blow up in the dugout.
Yeah, I thought that was like so overblown. Like, people were like, I saw people be like you do that in like way too public of a setting. It's like, it's the fucking dugout. It's a pennant race. It's, Machado and Tatis, I'm sure they're close. They're, it's the two. Tatis is the young kid. Machado is like the veteran $300 million guy that's supposed to be a team leader. Did you think of like anything of that? I didn't fucking care about it.
I saw, for the most part, people were kind of on our side too, or I was thinking like this is just like a veteran guy just getting the kid's face. Who, I mean, Tatis has played offensively well, but I mean, he is still a liability on defense. I mean, he dropped a pop-up in the first inning of, they were playing the Cardinals too, which is massive. He dropped a pop-up with the bases loaded. He was playing center field.
Yes.
He dropped a pop-up with the bases loaded and then just hucked the ball home, and the guy scored. Like, it was like a shallow pop-up. And like, it wasn't the same game that Machado got in his face, because that was a day game and Machado got in his face in a night game. But like, the idea that like Tatis does need a talking to. He's playing awful defense, and this just goes back to my mindset of that Tatis doesn't deserve to be the MVP. Harper should be, because Tatis has played awful defense this entire year, to the point where they've been moving him around the entire field. Like, he's pretty much played Glaber like defense, but worse. And he's doing it all over the field now. They're literally moving him around because they're like, we know he won his bat in the lineup, but we can't DH him because it's the stupid NL. So they're just throwing him all around the field. I mean, yes, he's athletic, but I don't know if he loses focus, what it is, but he doesn't deserve to be in the MVP when he's a liability in the field. Harper's not a liability, and he's got relatively similar offensive stats. So I don't know. My vote for MVP is Harper. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the fact that like Tatis needs that talking to. I mean, I don't care if you want to say he's the best player in baseball. Maybe he is skill wise, but he hasn't been good. Like, I'm not afraid to say that. Like, offensively great, he's a problem. And I'm going on a rant now, but like the problem wasn't he was talking about balls and strikes and arguing and all that stuff. It's so many different factors as to why Machado was yelling at him, but like, he needed that. And that's a good veteran player. As much as we ripped on Machado for a long time, he deserved that. He deserved a little talking to.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And I think for Tatis, if you look at just where the Padres are at and just his season, I mean, he's missed a decent chunk of time due to injury. Yeah. Like you said, he hasn't played a good defense, whether it's been shortstop or the outfield. Obviously he's a crazy talented guy. We know how good of a season he's had offensively. I don't know. I think Bryce Harper just had the more complete season. It's kind of going under the radar just because the Phillies have just been kind of just floating around 500 all year. They were in first place for what felt like, I think it was like literally 3 days, and they get going. Lose the series to the Braves. But I don't know. But Bryce Harper is underrated. I've been on this take for a while now. I think it would be great to see him win another MVP. I don't think he's going to. I still think it'll probably be Tatis, but I mean, who knows what happens here?
Yeah, it's the separation for me between like the MVP and like the offensive player of the year. Do you know what I mean? Tatis is the offensive player of the year, but Bryce Harper is the MVP because, like you said, he's been the more complete player.
Which I think they should have in baseball, by the way. I mean,
they should.
If you separated it, in what world would Vladimir Guerrero Jr. not be the American League Offensive Player of the Year? He's probably going to lose the MVP to Shohei Ohtani because it's pretty ridiculous that Ohtani, pitched at an all-star level for, 3/4 of the year. So it sucks that they can't both be MVP, but if you did separate the awards the way the NFL did, I know they only do one offensive player and whatever for AFC, NFC, but it would be cool. So I don't know. I think that's something they could definitely look into.
Yeah, I'm in on that because there's, I mean, obviously in the NL it's different. The AL is just Ohtani's just at some point Ohtani's going to start to win it every single year because he's going to do this stuff unless he gets, injured or has a ridiculously down year. But at some point, like it was like when he won the Rookie of the Year over Andujar, and everyone's like, "Oh, Andujar had the better statistical year." But it's like, yeah, but if you look at it, Ohtani pitched too. Like you're never going to be able to, compare that fairly to someone who's having a good year when Ohtani can just literally play on both sides of the field. Like Vlad's gonna win the Triple Crown potentially, and you're gonna be like, yeah, but like Ohtani has like a 2 ERA and he leads the league in home run, or it would be second in the league in home runs at that point. Like you can't ever like not give him the MVP. So that's why like they literally need to make the Offensive Player of the Year award because of Shohei Ohtani.
No, absolutely, I agree.
I think that's all I had for this week. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else either. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be an interesting couple weeks, especially on the American League side.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're either gonna watch the Yankees play their way back into it, or we're gonna watch them die a very slow, painful death. It's very 2021 Yankees that they couldn't either just clinch a wild card spot or play poorly enough to get themselves out of it. They're literally in the spot where you have to watch them, over the last 2 weeks to see what's going to happen, which is just so perfectly them, and it hurts.
Literally torture. Well, positive thoughts. Weather looks great this weekend. We're ending on positive vibes. That's all. That's all I got. The weather might be nice.
Positive vibes. We're entering hoodie and shorts season. That's my favorite weather / outfit season. That's cool. I guess it's fine. I like the fall. A lot. October probably my favorite month out of the year, honestly. I mean, usually that's also kind of dependent on Yankees baseball, but I mean, just in general, playoff baseball, football, I like pumpkin flavored things.
Yeah. All right. So before we get too negative, going back to the Yankees, ending on positive vibes, we're ending on pumpkins. Go apple picking or something.
Fall.
I don't know. Yeah, go do fall
season.
things.
The best season.
Yeah.
Fall or autumn? What's a better name? What's a better name for it? Fall or autumn?
Fall sounds so bland, but autumn just sounds so stupid.
Autumn's too fancy. Exactly. You're like, fall, but then you're like, ooh, autumn. Like it's autumn, a little too. It's like, what did you go to fucking prep school, dude? Just call it the fall. Like, relax.
You know what you call it? Football season.
Football season. Yes. Football season. Exactly. Pumpkin spice latte season. That's what it is.
Yeah. Apple picking season. Go pick apples and throw pumpkins and watch football.
Yeah, no, just take a girl apple picking if the Yankees miss the playoffs. Do that.
Yeah, don't be
do all the basic stuff.
Yeah, go be basic, positive vibes.
Yeah, have your girlfriend post an Instagram picture of you instead. It'll be okay. It doesn't matter if the Yankees were a massive disappointment this season. That's fine.
Yeah. No, we're not getting into the Yankees. No, I want to end it positive vibes.
Yeah, no, I'm saying even though they were a train wreck and like they're gonna make me depressed for the next 6 months, just like have some apple cider or something. It'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. I feel like that was half positive, but we're gonna end it there.
Yeah, that's as much as I can get. That's as much as I can muster up.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, later, skaters.
Peace.